I'm sorry, ladies. You got to be hot to get NIL money. And this is a big thing. And I know that the Lady Vols, I know that they've gotten frustrated by the lack of NIL money. You're talking a few thousand here and there, as opposed to perhaps millions with a guy like Nico. And you've got the LSU gymnast who's making over $1 million. It's not fair, but that's just where we are. And I don't know what kicked off this conversation, but it's something that Caleb, you mentioned you wanted to talk about. I you just there is not enough interest for the most part in women's sports to support NIL money going to going to that. And it's simple marketing, simple free market. This is not a handout. Yeah, we don't pay Jacob and Cooper Mays because we just like them. I mean, I would love to have that sort of money just thrown around because they bring value to the table. We tried the same thing with Lady Vols, and it just wasn't doable. The market wasn't there. Now, it sounds sexist for me to say this, but it's really not. Okay. Caleb has skills that make him good at what he does. He's a smart guy. I have a completely God given gift of having a good voice, which benefits me on the radio. If I sounded like this, I might have the same information, but Caleb, it's not as marketable. So it's not a sexist thing at all to me. It's just what the market bears. And it has just been proven. I'm sorry that the NIL is not going to be a big revenue generator for the ladies out there. I mean, there are going to be exceptions to the rule, but if the Lady Vols have trouble getting a significant amount of cash in NIL and they're so well supported, then Caleb, UConn's going to have the same problem, and other schools are going to have the same problem, and South Carolina is going to have the same problem, and go on and on and on. And it's going to ultimately bear out what it is, and that is it's just not considered a wise way to spend your marketing dollars. Unfortunately, the facts are if you're super duper good looking, a lot of the guys that make these decisions are guys. And that can go viral and you can produce a good return on investment. But Caleb, that's just the way it is. I mean, I hate to. Does that sound sexist by me?
Well,
I don't mean it to be.
no, and so I would just sorry.
Sexist isn't the right word. Does it sound superficial?
Um, but people say that a lot. But okay, here's the thing: I would push back on. Is it a little superficial? Yes, but isn't sports already sports? People talk about, oh, it's not merit based if it's about looks. Well, sports, your merit is your physical attributes. No matter how skilled you or I may be at a sport, we're never going to be a college basketball or college football player. We don't have the size, and we just don't have those. So we don't have the physical attributes. Isn't hotness technically a physical attribute on its own? I mean, why are we discounting hotness? Like, and not discounting, I don't know, being able to jump 48 inches into the air. I mean, they're both just raw physical attributes, and there's nothing wrong if that's your skill. This is based on a Free Press article, by the way. I want to shout them out. You guys know the Cavinder twins, Haley and Hannah Cavinder. This is who this is based on. They are the highest marketable NIL female athletes. They were at Fresno State together in basketball, and they transferred to Miami this past year. They were not the best players in college basketball, in women's basketball. They're probably not top 15, top 20. But they're the most marketable. What did they do? They used their looks. They created a social media following on TikTok, Instagram, whatever. And they marketed themselves. And they got a lot of NIL money. I think that is going to be, unfortunately, how a lot of things go. An example is, and Dave, you probably remember this. Remember when Anna Kournikova was raking in more endorsements than Serena Williams? Which is ridiculous, given how much better Serena Williams was than Anna Kournikova. And she was, and this is not college, this is the professional level.
Anna Kournikova was very average.
Yeah, very average. Just
For a
the
pro,
hottest.
for a pro.
Right. Right. Just the most attractive tennis player. And by the way, it's not just looks. Sometimes it's names. NASCAR. Earnhardt Jr. was one of the most marketable NASCAR drivers out there. Was he at ever any point a top 10 NASCAR driver?
That's fine. I was going to say he wasn't top 10. And you're
Yeah,
right. He never was.
yeah, and outside of
Kyle Busch in their primes, and that's when I covered NASCAR, could drive circles around Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale Earnhardt Jr., whether they were cheating or not, he always won restrictor plates. So either DI was really good at it, or that restrictor plate only had to be about a 16th of an inch bigger to allow more gas into the carburetor. And why is it that he always seemed to do well at the restrictor plates track where his father passed away and he won the Coca-Cola 600 the year after his father passed away? I could go a whole segment on that thing because you can hold the restrictor plates up to, I've done it. You can hold the restrictor plates up to each other and you can't see a 16th of an inch bigger opening with your naked eye unless you lay them right on top of each other.
No, okay. I'm glad you educated me on that.
That's an easy way. That's the easiest way to cheat. You can deflate footballs all you want. The easiest way to cheat is in all of sports is a restrictor plate adjustment in NASCAR.
So Dave with the junior conspiracy theories, but I'm with you, and
not
not only
conspiracy, that's just fact.
And it's not just his name, by the way. Okay, I know from talking to a lot of women that Dale Earnhardt Jr. was an attractive man to a lot of people, and so also helped his. I mean that. So again, it's not merit based on that. The fact is, when you talk about marketability and advertising, which is what this is, it's never merit based. It's. I mean, I talked with you about this before the show came on. Reggie Bush was getting all these endorsements right after he was drafted in 2006 because, look, he's a good-looking dude, okay? And I mean, you don't have to be into men to know he's a good-looking dude. Guess what? He was not worthy of all the endorsements he got. He was a solid scat back in the NFL, all-purpose back. And so I think that oh my God, I just saw that laptop.
He just had the funniest line of the message board. 16th of an inch. Thank you. All right. So it is mixed with NIL. Listen.
And by the way, Ronnie James.
Go ahead. I was just going to tell you, I've actually thought about putting together something that does benefit the Lady Vols. Maybe that's not a financial win for Off the Hook Sports, but I have thought about that. And I've had conversations with Maria Cornelius, who I think does a great job. But
she's incredible. I said she's incredible. I used to rely on her a lot for women's basketball coverage. She's so good.
She's so embedded. But it is, that's just a fact. And now I will say this. Candace Parker, for instance, doesn't get a shot if she's not stunningly gorgeous, but neither does Jay Billis, who's, I don't know that he's stunningly gorgeous, but he's a good-looking guy back in the day. And as it turns out, Candace Parker's phenomenal. Phenomenal. She's one of the best. Other than Barkley, I think she's as good as there is. I think she's better than Shaq.
The question is, how did Shaq ever get that job? Because he's horrible.
Yeah, he mumbles a lot. Now, how about this? And I don't want this to sound catty or mean, but Kara Lawson is not stunning. And I think she got a job in broadcasting because she was just phenomenal. She's great at play-by-play, at color commentating as well. So there are exceptions to the rule. But I just think for the most part, when the NIL money, when you're talking about what people want to spend, I mean, the ESPNs and the broadcasters of the world, they have to at least come across as, if you want to use the word woke or whatever word you want to use, but they have to come across as open-minded to use women. So that's probably what gives Candace Parker and the Kara Lawsons the shot in the first place. Turns out they were awesome, and they're as good as most men out there, if not better. But to get those NIL deals, there's nobody knows if Kroger's turns down the Lady Vols. You see what I'm saying? If ESPN has just got a bunch of white dudes that are up there. But you don't know if Kroger's turned down the Lady Vols because they find them less marketable than spending money on Nico.
And also, hotness is a factor. And yes, it's a bigger factor with women. Like you said, it's a factor with men. But there are other things. I'm sure there's probably a non-binary, not very attractive, very good women's basketball player that if she played, if that person played their cards right, would be great on social media. There's a market for that on social media. If you play your cards right, you got to find a way to be a little more creative with it. And guess what? If you do that, you'll probably become a draw if you know what you're doing. That's how life and advertisement works. Not everybody in advertising is the most attractive person. Heck, I mean, Peyton Manning isn't, and he's in every commercial in the world because he's got talents elsewhere.
That's a really good point. Smoky Mountain Red said, I still want to know how Sheldon Williams landed her, though. Talking about
because Candace Parker was found out later in life she wasn't really into men, so she didn't understand taste, because she was also, for those who don't remember, she was also with Stanley Asumnu. Who remembers that one?
There is not a meaner way to throw Sheldon Williams under the bus. So, I mean, poor Sheldon Williams with his eyes on the side of his head. Yes. So basically what you're saying is because she did not understand men whatsoever that she found Sheldon Williams attractive. That's what you're saying.
Yes. She thought societal norms told her that she should find Sheldon Williams attractive.